NASCAR turns to NASCAR this week as the Cup Series heads to Nashville Superspeedway for their first night race. Yes, a freaking night race in Music City. Might as well call this the Broadway 400 because that track is going to be more lit than a Friday night on Broadway. Terrible joke, but let's get into the podcast. The last 2 years at Nashville has brought on basically a Hendrick Motorsports dominance. Kyle Larson winning in 2021 and Chase Elliott winning in 2022. So can Hendrick Motorsports keep that dominance up here in Nashville this weekend? I hope so. William Byron is my favorite driver, but I don't know if that's going to take place because I have another pick that I'm going to give away here later in the rest of the podcast. And with Alex Bowman returning, he's been around for the last couple races, but this is a track that he likes a lot. So could Bowman get a win as well? Who knows? Now, Byron statistically has the best chance to win this weekend due to the year that he is having. Already has multiple wins on the season. He's one of the better drivers at finishing a race. So can he possibly stamp his win in Nashville? I hope so, but look out for Alex Bowman. Let's talk about Nashville Superspeedway for a second from a track perspective. Both corners have 14 degrees of banking. Turn 1 and 2 is not quite like turn 3 and 4. And on the back stretch, you have 6 degrees of banking. And on the front stretch, you have 9 degrees of banking. The Ally 400 will take place at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and will progress from a late afternoon race to a night race, which is something that the drivers have not faced at this track yet outside of last year's basically rained out race until they started the race at like 9 o'clock at night. But they have not faced a day to night transition at Nashville Superspeedway. Cup practice takes place at 6:30 Eastern Time on Friday, with qualifying that next Saturday at 1 p.m. with the race at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Sunday. When it comes to the point standings here in the Cup Series, you have to look at your cumulative stats, and right now, Martin Truex Jr. is at the top of the board with William Byron in second, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and Kevin Harvick rounding out your top 5. Now, when it comes to the playoff standings, things kind of get a little bit reversed. You have William Byron in first, mainly because of his wins, with Martin Truex Jr. in second, Kyle Busch in third, Ryan Blaney in fourth, and Kyle Larson rounding out the top 5. I think this is a great chance for Alex Bowman to come in and get a win, specifically because he is slightly outside of that point bubble. He's been performing very well, but he needs that win to stamp his chance to possibly win a championship for that 48 team. Now let's talk about NASCAR and how they have embraced this Nashville crowd and how Nashville has embraced the motorsports crowd over the last 3 years. So with the resurgence of the Nashville Superspeedway in 2021, obviously now going into 2023, they've also introduced the Music City Grand Prix, which is the IndyCar staple here in Music City. They started that the same year. So motorsports has really taken Nashville by the hands and say, hey, we can make this a motorsports town, and they definitely have. I've gone to every single race here at Nashville Superspeedway since they've been back and since the Music City Grand Prix has been back. And what I can say is that Nashville loves this. They love the scene, they love the party, they love the racing, and it's going to stay here. Let's get back over to NASCAR and talk about specifically the tire wear situation here at Nashville Superspeedway. Tire wear is definitely going to be a factor this weekend. Since the air temp is going to be around 88 degrees at the start of the race, which is going to mean it's a hot, slick track, and it's going to drop down to 78 degrees, which means the temps are going to drop slightly, and when it drops to complete sunfall, or I guess moonlight, don't know. Either way, the track is going to grip up, and you're going to see the cream of the crop start to rise to the top. Also, let's talk about the track layout for a second. Like I mentioned before, turn 1 and turn 2 are a lot different than turn 3 and turn 4. You have to attack 1 and 2 different than you do 3 and 4. In turn 1 and 2, you have multiple grooves that you can go after. You almost have to diamond the corner in. You can't really dive it in there and hope it'll stick. You'll definitely slide up the track. And in turn 3 and 4, you have to back out of the gas. You can wrap the bottom. You can also go around the top, but you are going to completely slide the tires coming out of turn 4. Turn 4 at Nashville is one of the most treacherous. It gets a lot of drivers. I know I've done that on iRacing. I've lost that at turn 4 at Nashville, and you have to be careful about getting back to the throttle and adjusting your wheel in a specific degree so you can actually make the corner and not slide through and go into the grass and become a lawnmower. Now, you've probably been waiting for my pick of the race. My pick to win the Ally 400 this weekend is this guy right here. This is Kyle Busch. This is number 5 CarQuest car from way back when. I don't even know the year on this one. Let's see, 2004. So 2003, 2004, Kyle Busch drove this car, and I think Kyle Busch is going to drive his way to victory lane this weekend. I had an odd dream about it a couple days ago, and I'm just going to go with my gut and say Kyle Busch is going to win. Thank you for tuning in to the Motorsport Enthusiast Podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. If you're tuning in on Spotify, I greatly appreciate it. Drop a like, a subscribe. I heard YouTube and Spotify like that a lot, and I would love for you to join the Motorsports Enthusiast as I'm going to be putting out more content on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, even YouTube, all these different platforms. See you later.